is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
My dog's been taken.
Well, let's get back to it.
Increasing card payment, the things that go boop and you pay your card, increasing the limit on those cards to an unlimited amount. What could possibly go wrong? Simply take all of your money and throw it into the street. More than 100 million people are in the path of a gigantic and dangerous storm system in the US this week. 100 million. Meteorologists warn that this mega storm will likely bring tornadoes, flash floods, blizzards and even fires starting right now and going through Sunday. Sounds biblical to me. The storms are expected to stretch as far south as Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, as far west as Nebraska, Kansas and Oklahoma, before driving through the center of the country towards Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri and Tennessee, which sounds like the ding-a-ling states to me. These areas will see an extreme risk of severe thunderstorms. There's also a high chance for golf ball-sized hail, which could damage homes and cars. Very strongly. Meteorologists warn that more than 24 tornadoes could hit the centre of the country into Saturday morning. Wind gusts could reach up to 80 miles an hour, spreading the risk of fires across 5 states and into Mexico. Sounds like God's pretty upset with the way things are going.
Oh, shut up!
Meanwhile, in further proof that someone up there is expressing their disapproval, a giant volcano in Alaska is showing signs of impending eruption, which means that we are all in the
whoop-dee-dee-scoop-poop.
Significantly elevated levels of gas emissions were recently observed around Mount Spur, which is located 75 miles from Alaska, from Anchorage in Alaska. Also, significantly, elevated levels of gas emissions were recently observed around the White House.
I know a lot about wind.
Global sea levels rose by an unexpected amount last year, NASA reports, on top of all of the above. The space agency, or the people left in the space agency that haven't been fired by Elon Musk, predicted that water level rise would go up by 0.43 centimetres last year, but it actually went up by 0.59 centimetres. And according to NASA, this unexpected increase was due to an unusual amount of ocean warming, combined with meltwater from land-based ice such as glaciers. What could possibly be causing that, I hear you ask? A sea level researcher at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California said, "What's clear is that the ocean continues to rise and the rate of rise is getting faster and faster." And then he got fired because, if you don't talk about something, it won't exist. Since 1993, global sea levels have risen by over 10 centimetres. And NASA said that we could see another 7 centimetres of sea level rise by the year 2040. And if that happens, hundreds of towns and cities are at risk of being plunged underwater. Nothing major. Here in the UK, huge parts of London, including but not limited to Canning Town, Canary Wharf, the South Bank and Abbey Wood, would fall below the waterline, along with Skegness and Hull and Greater Yarmouth, at least one of which we wouldn't miss. In Europe, much of the Netherlands would be plunged underwater. Oh. And Venice in Italy.
Oh, no.
Underwater. In the US, densely populated areas like Galveston, New Orleans and Charleston could be submerged. And so could low-lying coastal regions like Miami and Mumbai and Shanghai and Tokyo. And all we need to do is to stop extracting oil out of the ground and burning it, which seems like a pretty stupid thing to do with a finite resource anyway. Fortunately, we have very, very smart people running the world right now.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
But that's in the future. In the now, temperatures fell to -5 centigrade last night. It's going to be pretty cold tonight as well. Daytime highs 9 centigrade every day from tomorrow until Tuesday. Nights remain sub-zero in some places. And I sincerely hope that your place is not affected. It does, of course, mean that driving conditions could be treacherous, in which case motoring organisations recommend driving faster than you are able to control your vehicle and just hoping that other drivers won't do anything unexpected. That always works. Of course, if you're in a Vauxhall hatchback, you will already be doing this.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
At first, breezy, bright, cold nights. Then, before the end of the month, wetter, windier, and getting warmer. And then, first 2 weeks of April. Blimey, it's April already. How did that happen? Summer's almost over. It's winter. Time to put out the decorations. First 2 weeks of April. At first, unsettled, wet and windy, becoming drier with more settled spells and temperatures above average. Drier and more settled spells with temperatures above average? We'll take it. Tariq says, can I interest you in a used Tesla? Only one previous owner at the White House, 0 mileage as the owner was not able to drive it. For a quick sale, I'm happy to throw in a screaming toddler. There may be some random orange stains in the car. A random screaming toddler? It's a no from me. Simon says, Trump in the White House, Elon Musk looking like a Bond villain, and we're on the verge of nuclear war. But on the plus side, daffodils are sprouting and the ducks are breeding in my garden. And we're 2 weeks away from the clocks changing, so it can't be all bad. The clocks are going to change in a couple of weeks' time. How marvellous. That did come around pretty quick, didn't it? It's as though time is speeding up. Doesn't time fly when you're scared out your mind? Steve says, I'm in Lapland listening to the rest of the world going nutso on on honeymoon with my wife, watching the amazing Northern Lights and listening to your great show.
Oh, fabulous.
I hit the wrong one. I hesitated just a little bit too much and then I just stabbed one at random. What I meant was...
Yowza.
Oh, the Northern Lights. Groovy. Send us a picture, Steve. Or it didn't happen. Just saying. Gabriel says, I was on the Piccadilly... Gabriel says, I was on the Piccadilly line this week and I witnessed somebody actually reading Liz Truss's book.
What?
No, you didn't. He says, I couldn't believe my eyes. I must add, it did have a big 2-for-1 sticker covering most of her face. Perhaps they were stocked right next to Bodgers as part of the same deal, since neither exactly flew off the shelves. Eh, Liz?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Maidstone. Tony.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Tony.
Yeah, I'm calling up about Mark Carney and this asteroid. However, look, I thought I needed a few days break in a week, so I'm very behind. But I've just been watching... I've just been watching Donald Trump try to get out of Tesla. You'd think it would have a handler, wouldn't you? Oh, my goodness, that made me laugh out loud.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
He was with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He was in a Tesla and he was in the passenger seat.
Right.
And then he got out of the car, but it was just played on BBC News. And then he struggled to get out. It was
Well, I once the only time I've ever driven in a Tesla was it was being used as a cab, and I couldn't find my way in. There's no handles on those doors, Elon Musk. You idiot! People can't get in your cars.
Yeah, well, I don't know what a Tesla looks like, but I'm assuming it was him. But it was about 5 or 6 minutes ago, and I thought, oh no, this can't be happening. He was next to Elon Musk. He was in the passenger seat, and then you see Donald Trump trying to get out.
Yeah, fumbling at the door. Yeah, trying to find a handle.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. No, but he struggled. Yeah. But they say, can I give you my Donald Trump impression?
No, unfortunately not. We have completely run out of time on that call. So sad when that happens. Helen says, 2025 sounded like it would be a great year, but just like 2020, this year is going from okay to bad to that's URGGGGGH, which is the correct way of spelling 2025 sounded like it would be a great year. It does. I mean, it's a terrific looking number, isn't it? Look at that number. 4, eh? 2020 also looks good, but that was very bad. Oh, I've got some terrible news. Have you heard? Can't believe it. I'll get to that in a minute. It's very, very bad. Think of the worst thing that could possibly happen, and it's possible that it's going to happen. Mitchell says, if I could be God for one day and make a single decision, it would be to take away all the weapons. Just imagine how things would change the next day. Yeah, people would be frantically making weapons. Our entire economy would be on a war footing. Everybody would be seconded to manufacturing weapons. But apart from that, it'd be great. Imagine a world with no weapons. It's easy if you try.
Rock and roll!
Yeah. That is a man who sang, "Imagine a world of no possessions. It's easy if you try," he said, with a white Rolls Royce parked in the horseshoe gravel driveway of his mansion. Yeah, that guy. 034. Still, nice tunes though, eh? Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Nick. It's your mystic Meg from Merthyr. I did prophesy, didn't I? About 3 years ago, exactly what will happen. But we won't push that. We'll just lay it on the line.
I have no idea what you're talking about. This is the second call in a row. I have got no idea what they're talking about. What are you talking about?
Nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons, yes. What about them?
Gotta have them, but you can't use them.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's been proved in the last 3 years.
It's kind of crazy to have something that you can't use.
But there you go, you got to have them.
That nobody imagines in their wildest dreams that you would ever use. And the only person that would use them is somebody who is completely out of their mind, who is totally deranged.
Oh, shut up!
They would use them, quite possibly. But that means that they know that we would never use them. So what's the point of having them?
That's a moot point. But in the present circumstances, they're essential, but you can't use them.
No.
The thing is, Nick, we are now entering into a phase. You're looking at the Ukraine, which is the historical equivalent of Spain, where you had Franco and the Republicans fighting in a situation where the dictatorial powers would enter into it. And what do we got? Where we got to? First World War trench warfare. This whole situation will develop. You scoffed when I said this is the beginnings of the Third World War.
Oh, please. People have been saying that this is the beginning of the Third World War since I was a child. If you keep saying it year after year after year, then eventually you'll be right, Jeff.
But the thing is, Nick.
Yes.
They're there in the trenches. You know.
Yeah, but it's not a Third World War, though, is it? Because it's not the world that's involved.
It's going to be Trump's.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, leave that with us, Jeff. Jeff's a predictor. A bit doom-laden, right enough. I mean, he could predict the weather that's going to improve significantly by the end of this month. But no, he's not going to predict that. No, death and mayhem and destruction. That's Jeff's thing. Cheer up, people. It might never... Oh, no, that's right. It already has. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Hot H-O-T-A-I-R.
0345 6060 973. Martin says, apparently there's a rumour circulating among the Republicans in Washington that the Mango Maniac is not a Russian agent. Do they expect us to believe this rubbish? Just another crazy conspiracy theory. There's a lot of it about. Yeah. Let's have Fleet. Kirsty. Kirsty, that's right.
Good evening.
Get
sir.
it right, Kirsty.
I want to clear something up about Donald Trump. He does not wear a wig or a toupee.
He does not wear a wig or a toupee, but they're both the same thing.
I don't wear a toupee.
Well,
or a wig.
But they're slightly different. But I know it looks like he's got one, but what he's done is like a pompadour thing where you grow the hair really long on the top of your head when you're losing your hair and then sort of style it into a quiff or a bouffant or something.
Yeah, but nobody ever saw such a complicated procedure as goes on with his hair. It's very difficult to know where it starts and where it ends. It's like a Mobius strip of
Well, no, I think he's
hair.
got the classic male horse-shaped... Oh, what's it called? Horse hoof shape. What's it called? Oh, God. Anyway, the horseshoe-shaped baldness, and so it's all there, and then it grows, and it is.
Are you saying male pattern baldness? That,
yes.
right.
Oh my God, I couldn't get that at all.
Yeah, no, he may be going bald the same way that everybody else is, but he's not making up for it the same way that everybody else does.
Well, of course he is. He's got a pompadour.
I don't know what it is that he's got, but it's a construction that science hasn't even invented yet. Nobody knows how he does it, where the hair starts and where it goes to. It just sort of goes, it sort of meanders like a slow-moving river. Nobody has any idea what is going on up there. I bet they construct... like on a daily basis, they put scaffolding up around his head.
I was just going to say, there's probably scaffolding involved.
Teams of people, yeah.
If there's anyone out there with thinning hair long on the top, I reckon I can recreate it.
No, I don't think so. No.
I think I can.
There must be trained experts who put that together every morning.
Well, I'm a trained expert.
I bet he saved money on the makeup, the makeup artist, and has spent it on the hair wrangler instead. Because I think he puts his own makeup on, which is a big mistake. Huge. Don't do it, Donny. You look like a clown.
Yeah, he needs to sack the makeup artist, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to know it's not a wig or a toupee or a rug or whatever.
No, all of those things are the same.
I don't wear a toupee.
No, they're not.
What's the difference between a toupee and a wig?
Of course there is. A toupee sits on the top like a lid, and a wig covers the whole head.
Well, only if it's one of them whole head wigs.
Well, exactly. So it's not a toupee.
It's the same thing, Kirsty, and you know it.
You're being very argumentative. Have a lovely evening, sir.
Yes, and the same to you, Kirsty. Zach says, I saw the blood moon and immediately felt outraged at Meghan Markle, even though I'm not sure why. Is this how it works? Zach. Yes, I do believe that it is. You have an instinctual response every time you hear the name Meghan. No! Yeah, I know the male does. Shall I go through all of the stories about Meghan Markle that are on the Mail Online today?
No.
No, okay then. I wouldn't be able to fit them all in a brief 3-hour show. This says, was it Liz Truss reading the book on the bus? She probably just held it in front of her face, thinking it was a disguise. Yeah. She's the kind of person that would buy a mask of her own face to wear on her own face in order to disguise herself. Well, that's actually not a bad idea, because who would imagine for a second that Liz Truss would be hiding behind a mask of Liz Truss? I mean, it's not like she's an idiot or anything.
Absolutely.
Matthew says, I just got rushed to hospital with toxic megacolon today. What? I just want it on the record that my digestive system has had enough of trying to process current events. I do believe that these are people with material.
Oh, no.
Good grief. Let's see now. Upper Edmonton, Layla.
I want to tell a story about when I was at work with my colleagues, and I asked them would they rather go to Chessington World Adventures with Trump or Putin. So one of my colleagues said he would rather go with Putin because he would want him to see him get scared on the rides. So in the moment I was like, do you want to get poisoned by Novichok? But then my other colleague said he would rather go with Trump because he thought that Trump would be less of a danger to him. So I was like, but that's just because you're not a woman. If you're a woman, then you wouldn't be saying that. So,
And you ask these questions to people at work?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Now, I hesitate, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to ask you where you work.
I don't,
or just tell me what kind of work you do.
I'm a pharmacist.
A pharmacist. So, have you been taking any of your own stock lately?
Are you trying to say that I ask these questions because I'm crazy?
No, because you're drugged up to your eyeballs.
Want to score some pot?
These seem like bizarre...
The difference between those two things.
Yeah, these seem like bizarre questions to me, Layla. If that is indeed your name.
It is indeed my name.
Right.
But I honestly think Putin would be easier to get on his good side because you just tell him that you think that Ukraine should be under Russian control, that it was a thriving place until 1991, and that after 1991 it was taken under neo-Nazis, and then he's your mate.
Right, exactly right. That's pretty much all you'd have to say to him. A couple of sentences, and then you could spend the rest of the time in complete silence in whichever amusement park you decided to attend.
Peppa Pig World.
Peppa Pig World is a good idea.
World Adventures is nearest to me.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, there would be no limit to the amount of flattering that you'd have to pour his way. You'd have to tell him that he's great and huge and tremendous and strong and manly, and it would just never end, Layla. You wouldn't be able to take a breath.
He would want an invitation from the king, and he would want, all the world's worth of earth minerals.
Yeah. And he'd tell you that he's going to pay for it all and then leave without paying for any of it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. He'd stiff you with the bill, Layla. So I think you made the right choice there, or perhaps it might be a good day to just stay at home on your own. Think about it. Stay at home on your own with
me because they're both cray-cray.
Yeah, stay at home on your own with a selection of drugs. Just pop a couple at random and see what happens. Let me know. Thanks a lot, Layla. Paul says, it's been a while since I heard the bodge say test and trace. Could you play it back and check that he hasn't managed to string this sentence together for us yet?
Contact testing, tracing. Forgive me. Contact tracing.
I'm sorry, I don't have that tape anymore. Oh, yeah, there's bad news about that. Do you want me to tell you now or later? I'll tell you later. I mean, just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, good grief. Well, I'll tell you later, not now. I'll build up to it. Chris says there's an English guy who runs a pub in Rio. He has Liz Truss, Boris Johnson and Donald Trump mats for pint glasses. I actually declined. Put mine straight on the table. I felt their images might soil my pint somehow.
Absolutely.
Oh, soil? I don't like soil. Andrew says the only way this can become a third world war is if Trump's imbecilic incompetence is allowed to carry on. Well, we're doomed then, aren't we, Andrew? Because Republicans appear to have had their spines removed. Nobody else feels capable of standing up to him. We're just letting him do it, taking over the world. This painted clown off the television has decided to take over the world and use America as a weapon to bash countries that are being run by people that have not supplied sufficient flattery to him. That's actually what's happening right now. I mean, don't believe for a second that he is concerned about trade or American industry or any of that stuff. He doesn't care about any of that. If he doesn't care about the people that work there, then he certainly doesn't care about the businesses. He just wants money and flattery. That's it. And whoever supplies the most of it, of either or, will be given the keys to the mansion. Not all of the money, but they'll get to keep a little bit of the money. I bet he looks at Elon Musk every day thinking, how can I put that guy in prison and take all of his money? Like rootin' tootin' shootin'. Well, pretty much everybody else that has flown in Donald Trump's orbit is either waving their arms frantically, telling us to run for the hills, or they're in jail right now. Which one is Elon Musk going to end up as? Place your bets. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC. It's 10:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Yeah! Dude!
Ian says, I've had to replace the horn on my lorry today. It was making a very strange noise, like a cross between Cilla Black singing and Anne Widdecombe giving a speech. An awful din, sounded a bit like a goose farting in the fog. The horn on your lorry made a noise like Anne Widdecombe. I think I'd have to throw the lorry away. Drive it into a tree just to make it stop. 0345 6060 973. Saffron Walden, hello, Jay.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Jay.
I just wanted to say thank you for all your predictions you've done about Donald Trump. You're doing well.
Thank you for saying thank you.
Thank you. No, we appreciate that. You're the presenter with material. But
what predictions, by the way? What predictions have I said about?
I mean, that Donald Trump will change everything. He's not going to go on his second term. He's going to stay there.
Well, we don't know that yet, but that's my bet. He ain't going.
No,
he is not leaving.
But in regards to the market you're talking about last week, when you were saying people are making money, and when he's talking down the market, and they are making money because they're short selling it, and
exactly.
and they've got inside information. But the chainsaw man who is going around wielding his saw and slashing all the, these government agencies who can't investigate them. And this is it. So the idea is just to break down as much as possible, and nobody will be investigating. And Elon Musk, if you remember, in January, he changed his name to Cecus Maximus. And there's a
what?
Talk. Have you heard about it? Cecus Maximus for one day, and that coin went up by 3,000% just within 1 hour, and then he changed it back to Elon Musk. It was in January. He's done it like a...
Well, I must have missed that particular chapter of insanity. No, I didn't get that.
Yeah, I know. If you just put Cecus Maximus, you'll see...
I certainly will do nothing of the sort.
Thank you. But in regards to UKIP leader Nigel Farage, I mean, we don't hear him on LBC anymore. What's happening with him?
OK, let me look into that for you, Jay. Thanks very much, mate. 0345 6060 973. I want to talk about Nigel Farage. I want to talk about Trump's envoy to Russia. I want to talk about Ed Miliband going to China. And I want to talk about this new thing that they've just found. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. Have you heard? I'll give you the bad news in just a bit. Yes, that's right. Bad news on top of all the other news.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's even badder than the other news. Michael says, I keep Googling Tesla's share price. Am I a bad man? Am I a bad man, he says. And every time you Google Tesla's share price, you think... Mind you, so does Tesla. Tesla actually sent a letter to Donald Trump. Can you believe this? I mean, you'd think that they'd have somebody on the inside who might be able to whisper in Donald Trump's ear on their behalf, but apparently not. They're not speaking to each other. Elon Musk's Tesla has warned Donald Trump's trade war could expose the electric car maker to retaliatory tariffs. Elon Musk said in an unsigned letter to Donald Trump's trade representative, Jameson Greer, Tesla said that the U.S. administration should ensure it did not inadvertently harm U.S. companies. Yeah, well, I think the ships sailed on that one. Sailed and sunk. The Dow Jones stock market index is down 7.2% in the last month. The last month. Hey, dingalings, are you tired of all this winning yet? Tesla said in a letter, a U.S. manufacturer and exporter, Tesla, encourages the Office of the United States Trade Representative to consider the downstream impacts of certain proposed actions taken to address unfair trade practices. And all Trump heard was blah, 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 too many syllables that didn't include his own name, wasn't listening. Tesla, led by Elon Musk, who is leading efforts to downsize the federal government by firing people who protect the nuclear arsenal and firing people who are trying to cure cancer and firing people who keep planes from crashing into each other, said that it wanted to avoid a similar impact to previous trade disputes that resulted in increased tariffs on electric vehicles imported into countries targeted by the U.S. In other words, this crazy Donald Trump tariff war is hurting the company that is being run by the person who's helping him do it. Tesla said, US exporters are inherently exposed to disproportionate impacts when other countries respond to trade actions. The assessment undertaken by the United States Trade Representative of potential actions to rectify unfair trade should also take into account exports from the United States. And all Donald Trump heard was way too many syllables that didn't include his name. They said, for example, past trade actions by the United States have resulted in immediate reactions by targeted countries, including increased tariffs on electric vehicles imported into those countries. In other words, stop these insane trade wars, you demented orange oaf.
Don't be rude.
Absolutely comical that the Tesla company is writing to the American government to try to get the Tesla boss to stop facilitating a madman ruining their business. Is this real life or am I hallucinating? Trump's imposed significant tariffs that will affect vehicles and parts made around the world. Because he woke up grumpy. Give me another reason. The EU, China and Canada have announced large-scale retaliations, because of course they have. It's how it works. And we, in the UK, by the way, we've held off on announcing any countermeasures because apparently Skier thinks that if he doesn't say or do anything, that the tangerine tantrum will leave us alone. Hey, Skier, wake up. It's later than you think. Tesla's share price has fallen by more than a third over the last month in an apparent buyer backlash against space Karen Musk, who's shown support for Germany's far-right Alternative for Deutschland party, brandished a chainsaw at a conservative conference while gleefully boasting of all the good people he's fired and whose lives he's ruined. And he then bursts into tears when potential electric car consumers decide, based on Elon Musk's own activities, to buy another company's car instead. I mean, what was he expecting exactly? That ordinary, kind-hearted people would want to ally themselves to a brand that's being run by someone who wakes up in the morning and decides to fire people he doesn't know and to ruin their lives. And then he boasts about it, like it's all a big game. And then he complains when people don't like him, don't want to be associated with him, and don't want to give him their business. I mean, your actions have consequences. If you act like a total dipstick, people are going to think of you as a dipstick. And who wants to buy a car from a dipstick? And just like Trump, it's just extraordinary. The luckier and the more fortunate they get, the more they just can't stop whining about how unfair everything is.
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
And a day after Tesla's worst price fall in 5 years, Trump said that he was buying a brand new Tesla and blamed radical left lunatics for illegally boycotting the EV company. Yeah, right. It's not illegal to not buy a Tesla. They're not illegally boycotting an EV company. Not illegal. Also, it's people on the left that are consumers for electric cars. Right-wingers think electric cars are gay, or woke, or whatever moronic thing they read online last. Those left-wingers that are repulsed by a sadist taking apart the things that American non-billionaires rely on are going to be turned off the products sold by that person. It's almost as though he's not a genius. I'm not a genius, and I could have figured that out all on my own. Oh, and as for that bit about Trump buying a Tesla, yeah, sure he did. I'm guessing that Trump got one of those special 100% mates rate discounts on that car. And apart from when he clambered on board for the infomercial they had at the White House, I bet he never sets foot in that car again. 0345 6060 973. Woolwich. Hello, Richard.
Oh, hi there, Nick.
Richard.
Hi, I was just working out that maybe Woolwich is going to be one of the casualties of the rise in the sea temperature, because it's kind of by Abbey Wood and also by Charlton, so it's all I think I'm going to be underwater.
Yes. Well, wear those inflatable armbands. Always.
Okay.
Just in case.
Good advice. And always take your advice now, because everything you said has turned out to be right. Which is... but just a couple of things. First of all, did you hear Vance? He made a stupid error of going to a classical concert.
Yes. A classical concert at the Kennedy Center, which is America's premier artistic center, and a place that they had just fired everybody there that runs it and installed Donald Trump as its artistic director. And then he shows up and the audience boo him, and like the chump he is, he grinned and waved back, thereby owning the libs. This is what they're all about.
Yeah. It's Teflon skin stuff, isn't it? It's just bizarre. But the reason why I called very quickly is because it's about Starmer. I'm a great fan of Starmer, and I voted Labour.
I haven't heard that before. I am a great fan of Starmer. That is a sentence I have not heard from anybody's lips.
Yeah, I have been. I've been really, and sort of when you said rightly, hey, they've just been in a few months. They can't change 14 years. I completely agree with all that. But what I'm getting a little bit of, I don't know, personal crisis over it, because I'm waiting for them to do the Labour thing and introduce wealth tax. And I'm just bemused that's not happening. And this week, of course, there's more taxes on vulnerable and people. And I'm just thinking, look, the whole world's gone mad. This is insane. There's America's now siding with Putin, and we've got the Labour Party, sort of on the side of the wealthy. What's going on?
Yeah, not entirely, because they are digging their heels in about that farmer's tax, which isn't really a farmer's tax, it's a landowner's tax. All of those farmers that are in those spotless tractors with not a hint of mud in those thick tyres, they're not really farmers. They've just been given the day off from the tractor manufacturing company. And they've got a nice day out in London where they can swan about and stop traffic without fear of being arrested.
Unlike, of course, my good self, who will go to do protesting for real causes, like Brexit and like the fuel crisis, and I get persecuted.
Well, you're on at least two different lists there, Richard.
Yep, with armbands. So
I think that would make you an easy target. You'd be easy to spot in a crowd with luminous armbands. Buy ones that match your suit. All right, thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Well, I know a couple of things. Couple or three things. Chris says, if you were Chancellor, what one policy would you do, Nick? I'm really hoping that when the budget happens, it won't be too bad for the disabled. I'm glad I'm not Chancellor and have a lot of hard choices. I don't know if that's supposed to be funny, Chris, but it sort of is. Because they keep telling us about all these hard choices they have to make. They don't seem to be that difficult, really. They're just going ahead and doing it anyway. If I was Chancellor, what one policy would I have? Well, I kind of like the idea of taxing people 2% of their assets if they have more than £10 million worth. I mean, hands up who would be against that? No one, apart from those who have more than £10 million worth of assets. I don't know what the exact number is, but we can make bazillions. And by that method, we could improve our lot. So let's do it. But they're not going to do that. But they should. But they won't. Rochester, Lulu.
Nick, I don't want to talk about those reptiles currently destroying America. I want to talk about lovely things.
Lovely things?
Yes. Mm-hmm. To that end, I must tell you, I've just come back from the theatre where I saw a magnificent play.
Oh, a play?
Boring.
Yes?
Oh, I think you'd love it. It's called The Shark is Broken. Have you heard of it?
Oh, it's about Jaws.
Yes.
I have heard of it, yeah.
It was. I've actually seen it twice in London a couple of years ago, and now it's touring.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to see it in Canterbury. I took my friend for her birthday. She loved it. And honest to God, Ian Shaw, it's just quite scary.
Who's
how much
Ian
he looks
Shaw?
like the son of Robert Shaw, who plays Quint.
Is that right?
He wrote the play. He stars in it as his father, and he is the spitting image of his father.
Just
in every
looking up Ian
respect.
Shaw right now.
Yeah.
Blimey, he really is, isn't he? God, it's the exact same
Really
looking
is.
person. Good grief, it's the same
I
guy.
know. It's uncanny. And so throughout the play, because it's a three actors, basically, you know, they're waiting for the shark to get fixed because it kept breaking down, didn't
Well,
it, during the film?
don't tell us.
Yeah, but it's just the three actors on the boat in the cabin talking about their lives, you know,
Yeah.
as the real actors. And so Shaw obviously is British, so he was speaking throughout the play with a British accent. And then at the very end, he does the scene, the USS Indianapolis scene.
Yeah, I think you're ruining it for us, Lulu.
No, I'm not. You have
A little
to,
bit.
I mean, you have to see it. It is just the most incredible thing.
The thing with plays is I find it a bit difficult to get past this isn't real. And I'm constantly on edge thinking they're going to forget their lines.
Oh, I know what you mean. I said that to my friend. I said, how on earth did they remember?
Yeah.
Because they have to speak so much. And I was a little bit anxious, but they didn't. None of them did. They were just the three of them. Obviously, it's just the three of them. They were absolutely perfect, you know.
But don't you feel that too, that you just feel just slightly uncomfortable because you think, this is just a memory test. How can they remember all that stuff? They're going to forget their lines. And then what?
I know. I would have died if that had happened. I mean, it would have been absolutely horrific. But, yeah. And also, finally, the Penguin.
The Penguin, yeah.
I've started watching it, and that has just blown my tiny mind because I started watching it. I didn't know who was in it, and I thought, oh, that actor who's playing the Penguin, he's an unusual-looking man. Yeah. I wonder who he is.
Terrible.
I've never seen him before.
No, awful.
And I'm not going to spoiler alert here, but I did.
Well, everybody knows.
Yeah,
that's not.
does everybody know?
That's not a spoiler alert. We know who plays the Penguin. It's what's his name? You know, the fella from The Thing. What's his name?
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Correct.
I nearly fell over there when I realised it was him. I thought, right, he's a skinny little Irishman with a squeaky Irish accent, and he's playing this big, chunky.
It must have taken hours to put him into that.
4 hours. I looked at, there's a video on YouTube of them doing the makeup, and he said it took 4 hours.
God, every day, because he's got to take all that off at night, because presumably otherwise he'd just sweat to death. Well, you just couldn't keep all that poisonous stuff on you, I would imagine. So every single day, I would imagine it's the only series that he'll make, right?
Well, I mean, how can you top that? I've never really taken much notice of him, but I mean, what an actor. He's amazing in this thing, isn't he?
Yeah, why couldn't they have just got an old, plump American guy to do it instead of making a skinny British guy into an old, plump American guy?
I know, but I think that adds to it somehow. I'm just so intrigued by it, you know. I think it's phenomenal. That makeup artist deserves the world, doesn't it, really, to be able to create that? I just think it's such talent, you know, to do that.
Yeah, the world and all it's got. Yeah, let's get him to run the world for a little while. I mean, it couldn't possibly get any worse than this. I mean, Donald Trump's makeup might actually blend in the side of his face as opposed to just ending and becoming bright white by his ears.
He should get this guy to do his makeup.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody who knows what they're doing. Might be able to turn him into a decent-looking person. Oh, I think that should sell.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, I don't know, plays. I can't get past the fear that they're going to forget their lines, and also that it just seems so unreal because they're just standing there on stage bellowing in these really loud voices. It just seems as opposed to musicals, which are silly to begin with. I feel much more comfortable watching a musical than I do a play. But that's just me, I suppose. Unless it isn't. 0345 6060 973. Crouch End. Hello, Brian.
Hello there, Nick.
Hello there,
Yes.
Brian.
Yes, I am here and you are there. I'm actually feeling better this week about the Democrats because they've shown some spine. At least a few of them have. It's a shame that the ones that are in charge, like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, are just saying, "Oh, we can work this out with the people across the aisle." And
why do they keep saying that? Because it never works out, and the people across the aisle are absolutely, totally, and definitely not going to work with the Democrats on anything ever.
And someone just needs to slap them upside the head and say, stop thinking this.
Well, this is the problem with the left. The left think that the right are going to be decent, despite all of the evidence that shows them that they have never done that in the past. And they just keep coming to a knife fight carrying a poetry book.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. But, they used to, I don't know, they used to work together, but that was, ancient history.
Yeah.
We
were wearing flares the first time round when that happened.
Yeah, no, I think that whole divide goes back to, well, Sarah Palin was kind of the Tea Party was the first real, but even before that, Reagan created trickle down. And saying how this is going to work, and everybody will, and
trickle down economics, and him and George W.
Absolutely,
they both lied about that. There's no such thing as trickle down economics. There's only trickle up economics.
We made all these profits, and we'll take you out to dinner one night. How about that? but we're not going to share our glory with you. But anyway, what I was saying about the Democrats showing some spine was this thing that happened where Sarah McBride, who's the first trans person elected to Congress, and she's about to ask a question, and the chairperson says, "Okay, you have a question, Mr. McBride?"
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and this guy from a Democrat from Massachusetts named Bill Keating stood up and just said, "Have you no decency?" Going back to the 50s and McCarthy stuff, and actually saying, that's absolutely terrible. Will you like to repeat what you just said? And he repeated it.
Well, I didn't. I saw the clip, and I thought that the guy that said, "What do you want to say, Mr. Whoever?" I thought that he was just being facetious. But you're saying that the person was trans, and the Democrats were sticking up for her new identity. Or I'm unfamiliar with the story. But you know what? The Democrats are going to lose if they keep going down this road. They really are.
That's true. There needs to be even more of this kind of stuff. There needs to be more Bernie Sanders, more AOCs, more people that are actually speaking up. And I don't know that that's going to happen.
No, it won't, because those people aren't going to win an election for the Democrats.
Well,
somebody who's ironically a straight talker like Pete Buttigieg, he might, because he actually makes sense. And he doesn't turn people off with being extreme or concentrating on wokery or any of that stuff. He's just kind of normal-ish compared to the current opposition. I think they've got to reach out and stop being and stop picking on these these issues that most people don't really care about. Let's talk about the money, honey. Talk about that.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello, boys.
What are you talking about?
0345 6060 973. We're talking about this and that. And there's something very, very bad that's just been discovered. Have you heard about that? Good grief, I can't believe it. I'll come to that in a minute. Stan says, please can you ban Americans from calling in? They clearly have no sense of humour. Thanks. Why can't people just get along? I think you'll find, Stan, that Americans have produced more comedy that stands the test of time than Britain ever has. That may seem initially a controversial thing for me to have said, but then if you think about it for a bit, what is on constant repeat on at least 2 comedy channels on Sky? And it's not a British comedy. Andy says, why are the details on parcels in such a small font? That's a good question. I mean, a parcel is something that would give you a wide area in which to write large. But they seem to cram it all into tiny, tiny print. That's a good question. 0345 6060 973. Hounslow. Hello, Vicky.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
I don't know if this might infringe on your soon to be, but essentially...
Vicky, there's something wrong with your phone. We'll call you right back, all right?
Thank you.
OK, thank you. What a cooperative caller. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to call Vicky right back. While we do that, I'll read some of these very, very important messages. Craig emails, last week you added to your list predictions that Trump would not be seen in military fatigues. I don't think so, says Craig. Any fool know that khaki clashes with orange. And Adrian says, these days you don't need nuclear weapons or war. All somebody has to do is turn off the internet and everyone will be screwed, particularly the young folk of today. And the young folk of today said, just at the very idea. That's completely correct in every respect. Yeah, you don't need to fire missiles into a country. You just need to turn its internet off. There would be anarchy in the streets of this country in about 10 seconds. Imagine it. Nothing would work. We have become overly dependent on the internet, and it's going to come and bite us on the bottom eventually. It doesn't seem possible that it won't. You won't be able to pay for anything, so you won't be able to get any food or water. And if the internet goes down, then I would guess that the water company and the electricity company and the gas company, they would also fall flat in their face, because I would imagine that most of their infrastructure is based, at least partly, on information coming over the internet, talking to itself. So that will shut down, so there won't be any heat or electricity. No electricity. That's no TV, no radio, and no phone. What? No phone. Once it runs out of battery, that's it. Think of yourself staring at the screen on your phone and you see the power number tick down. And when it gets to about 10%, then what are you going to do? And when you go to the shops, you won't be able to buy anything because the tills won't work, and you don't have any cash, of course, because nobody has that anymore. And so you won't be able to purchase anything with cash, and the shop that you want to buy from will probably be closed anyway because the tills don't work, and they want to avoid a riot. They want to avoid people just loading up their jackets with meat and running out the store. So the shops will be shut. And the bank will be closed, and the cash machine won't work, and then what? We've got no food, no water, no money. We've got no way of buying anything. This is in the first, minute of the internet going down. And in about an hour, we'll be back to heaving lances at Buffalo. Good luck in finding one of those. Moses says, hair today, gone tomorrow. I used to have a comb. I used to have a comb over, rather like the chap in the Hamlet cigar advert. The strands have gone now, but I don't have a bald spot. I prefer to call it a wide parting. That was Gregor Fisher, wasn't it? He is funny. I mean, if you haven't seen Rab C. Nesbitt, there's a British comedy that would stand the test of time. Hounslow. Hello, Vicky.
Hi, Nick. Is this any better?
Ah, much better.
Beautiful. I don't know if I might be ruining the bad news that you got coming up in a minute, but what's been said recently in the past hour and a bit is that Trump has gone to Department of Justice, held a press conference, and suggested that CNN and MSNBC should be illegal because of what they've been saying about him. So, going back to the idea of the internet going down, we might all end up going outside, talking to each other, kids playing in the street. It might actually be a good thing, and we wouldn't have to hear about Trump either. Which would be brilliant.
CNN and NBC should be illegal. Did he say that?
Yeah, MSNBC.
Oh, MSNBC.
But with MSNBC, that does mean, they have the Hotmail sort of collaboration. It would also affect the international news people get who have a Hotmail account. So essentially, the censorship wouldn't just be in the US, it would also be worldwide.
So NBC owns Hotmail? Is that right?
MSNBC, like MSN was the way that they had instant messenger for people who had Hotmail. And once that stopped being much of a thing, they turned it into a news network.
The M being Microsoft?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
So CNN is the other place that is looking at being made to, at least what they say about Trump, illegal.
Well, he's not really hiding it, is he? I mean,
No.
what's next on the Adolf Hitler list of ways to take over a country? I think it's art, banning degenerate art. If with the moment that you hear that phrase, degenerate art, warning, it's all over.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, communication, when we look at what it is that it actually achieves, it's not just, like the basics of finding out information. It's making sure that we're all on the same page. And, if we're going to be honest, the Republicans and Democrats used to work together, right, but stopped working together because it was easier, much easier, to get votes if you had people who were on one side
them and
or
us.
the other.
Right.
And, the people who then have different beliefs, the people in the middle, they don't get much of a say, and that helps to take care of the competition. It's much like what's over here. You've got, Labour and Tory. Those are the two that we hear about the most, but in essence, they get paid by the same person once the premiership is over. Like, when you finish being the Prime Minister, you end up getting paid by the same person anyway. So just as long as you do what you're told, you'll probably be all right, after you retire.
Who is the name of this person, by the way, that you have in mind?
Which person?
Right, exactly. You said they both get paid by the same. You don't have one singular person in mind. You just
a family.
Right,
No. Yeah, the Rothschilds being one of them, Rupert Murdoch being another. I mean, they've been going on for generations.
Yeah, I don't think that those people pay. Well, of course, Bodger Johnson might get a little bit of money from.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
From Rupert Murdoch, but no, actually, he's Viscount Rothermere's man at the moment, isn't he? Doing his who's that all that stuff for the Mail. But it's the same faces. I think you're probably mostly right on most of those things, Vicky. Mostly. Thanks for that. He wants to make MSNBC and CNN illegal. Yeah, and then they'll come for the schools. Oh no, that's right, they've done that already. And then they'll come for the university. Oh no, they've done that already. And they're shutting down the art institutions. Degenerate art. They haven't actually said that phrase yet, but they will. Betcha. Degenerate art. Don't want any of that. And pretty soon there will be, by law, a portrait of Donald Trump in every town square in the land. Every school, every university, every class. A portrait of the dear leader. I don't really know how anybody can avoid coming to that conclusion that is precisely where we are right now. He's just going through the how-to book written by Adolf Hitler. How do you take over a country? Step 1, fire all the professors. Step 2, tell people that science isn't a thing. Step 3, ruin the education for an entire country.
I love the poorly educated.
Yeah, because the poorly educated won't question the dear leader. and on and on and on. And there's just so many echoes from the History Channel. It's just, I don't know why anybody can't see that Americans are still, well, at least a third of them are still, trundling along, thinking everything's fine. No, it's not. Wake up. It's later than you think. Chris says, I know you think that Trump will put Musk in jail and nick his money. My hope is that when the inevitable breakup comes, Musk will use his fortune and Twitter to destroy Trump. That would be a truly philanthropic act, even if motivated by wounded narcissism, says Chris. Yeah, no, I think it's the other way around. People who are in Trump's orbit usually, well, not usually, but have very frequently in recent memory gone to jail. And I bet Donald Trump is thinking, what would Vladimir Putin do? What would my mate Vlad do? Vlad would put Elon Musk in jail and take all his money. I bet it's crossed his mind. I bet it has. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
He is a very sick and dangerous man.
Yes, well, probably going to get sicker. Have you heard the news? I'll come to that in a minute. Remo says, did you see that stupid influencer Sam Jones in Australia who took a baby wombat from its mum and she has had death threats? Influencer? What does that mean? I am an influencer. At what level of fame do you have to be before you can justifiably call yourself an influencer? How many followers would you need to call yourself an influencer? And by what method are you influencing people? Is it the same kind of thing as kids used, well, I suppose they probably still do, used to say in answer to the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll say, I want to be famous. Like that, they said. Kind of irritating. Want to be famous, they say. I suppose that is the essence of being famous. Famous for not really doing anything. Influence, being an influencer. Where they rock up to restaurants. That's not my phraseology. That's the phraseology of the newspapers that cover influencers. They rock up to restaurants and demand a free meal because they're an influencer. I'm very disappointed with the kids. Chris emails, I know you think that Trump... No, done that one. Elon Musk is going to jail. John says, with the World Cup due to be hosted by the US, Canada and Mexico in 2026, what are the odds on Donald's youngest son, Lurch, playing for the US? Apparently he's a keen soccer player and enjoys scoring goals with his head. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it's funny. Made me laugh. Bath. Hello, Laura.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Where?
There on the stair. Right there.
Oh.
A little
You're
mouse with
adorable,
clogs on. There I
I wanted to see if I could get you to sing this week, and so I can tick that off my list.
Yeah, tick it off your list.
I tell you what, I wouldn't mind no internet at the moment because it's wild garlic season. I might not be able to fashion a weapon, but I can make a nice pesto, use it as currency.
Wild garlic season. It's got a season, has it?
Yeah.
I suppose everything's got a season.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. Plants don't always grow at all times of the year.
Yeah, but we demand that they do. I mean, we force them to do it, whether they like it or not.
I always feel a bit bad buying forced rhubarb because I'm like, just let them grow at their own will.
Yes, rhubarb is people too, you know.
Anyway, so I had a car question for you, if that's okay.
You had a what now?
A car question.
Oh, a car question.
Because
right.
I bought a new old car in the past couple of months.
Right.
And I know that you're a connoisseur of that sort of thing.
I'm not. I've only ever bought two cars in my life, and both were either second or third hand. Oh,
Yeah.
I took a picture of an almost momentous moment in my car today, and I'll just dial it up on my telephone. And
You shouldn't use your phone while driving.
No, I wasn't. I was stationary. And it says
Good save.
the mileage on my car is 0,99990. Wow. I'm going to post that. That looks beautiful. Just 10 more miles to go before 100,000. How about that?
Amazing. Do you know, actually, I was thinking when you talk about influencers that I'd imagine because you work on the weekend that you would be a binfluencer. Have you heard of that?
No.
So that is when it's bin day and you're not sure, does the garden waste go out? Is it black bin?
Yeah.
You look for the binfluencer on your street, and that's the person that's got the confidence and the conviction to put their bins out to the point where other people check what they put out
Right.
as
And then
reference.
do accordingly. Huh. I like
So that might be you.
I would like to be a binfluencer.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back to the car question. So I drove to a little quiet street because I noticed there was a cruise button on my steering wheel that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it might do sort of Q's car from James Bond type of stuff. I pressed it and nothing happened. So my question is, what is it supposed to do?
You've got to get up to at least 20. I would expect it's at least 20, depending on what car you've got. And then you hit cruise, and it maintains that speed whether you're going uphill or downhill. Now, it could be one of those cruise controls that also checks how far the car in front is and will keep you equidistant from that car. Now, I haven't checked this on my car, but I saw somebody else using a cruise control, and this was a long, long time ago. And I thought, why is that guy dabbing his brake all the time? Because he was going along at a very sedate 20 miles an hour on, through Hammersmith. And he just kept dabbing his brakes all the time. And I thought, why is he doing that? There's nothing in front of him. What's going on with that bloke? And I think it was because his car was in cruise control mode. And when it dabbed the brakes in order to keep him down to 20, it also hit the brake lights, which is very annoying. I mean, I suppose that do all cars do that when they're on cruise control? Do they always dab their light the brake lights up when it's keeping to a speed? Very annoying.
Sounds like they may have been flirting with you, Nick. You don't know that.
Not that kind of cruise control, Laura.
Wait, the last thing I wanted to say was, my lovely girlies are like the sweetest chickens in the world. So naturally, my friend asked me to look in on hers. She's got 2 chickens. They're not rescue chickens, though. They're like posh chickens, right?
Mm.
And then I got back from work the other day.
Soup?
And I noticed... No, don't even go there. And I went to clean their water, and one of them attacked me, decked me in the arm. I couldn't believe it. I only had enough composure to get up to, defend myself. I was like, there's thankless jobs, and then there's whatever that is.
Yeah. I would say my best suggestion to you, Laura, is chicken burgers.
Don't.
Yummy.
Well, let me know if you find out what cruise control actually does, won't you?
I've just told you, Laura. Were you not listening to me? 0345 6060 973. Brian says, I love being a binfluencer. Sometimes I deliberately put out the wrong bin just so I can observe the power that it gives me. The power. Why do they have to do it so early? I mean, my bin persons come on Monday at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Why does it have to be so blooming early? I've been up all night. Well, not all night, but I work late at night on a Sunday night. Get to bed at about 2:30. And then 4 hours later, they're banging and crashing, and the wheelie bins make such a racket when you pull them across pavement, and it just never seems to end. Why do they have to do it so early? Edward emails, long-time listener, I've already bought a notebook in preparation for your A to Z shows in December. The way things are going, I'm going to need 45 more. Yes. Yeah, you will. Yes, you will. Let's see. Who's been waiting the longest? It looks like Southall. Eddie. Oh, Eddie. Eddie is too late. So sad. Preston. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Nick.
Paul.
Donald Trump, he's jumped the shark, hasn't he?
He appears on the surface to have gone completely insane. On the other hand, it might all just be a distraction, like he's waving his hand in front of your face while he picks your pocket.
Yeah. Well, is it on social media? You often see people saying, if you say anything about Trump that's negative to somebody who idolises him, they often turn around and say, you've got Trump derangement syndrome, TBS.
Right.
And then I type back, well, Trump is deranged and it's definitely a syndrome.
Yes.
But anyway, so what I rang for is Donald Trump is considering everybody earning less than $150,000 a year not paying income tax.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
He's considering it very strongly, as in it's not going to happen.
But how do you think he's going to pay? Make up the shortfall?
Well, he seems to be obsessed with tariffs, even though he doesn't actually understand what they are.
That's what his plan is, to make it up with tariffs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
How
he
can
is.
that work?
He is making it up.
I'm not economist.
With
I'm not
tariffs.
economist, but
No.
I can't see how that works.
Right, you're not an expert, but it doesn't prevent you from having a strong opinion. No, he's completely lost his mind.
It doesn't seem normal somehow.
No. Well, there's absolutely nothing normal about him, from the top of his head to the lifts in his shoes.
Well, I'll be on the list now.
Paul, I would move address immediately. You've got just about enough time to pack a bag. Go to it. Thanks a lot, Paul. Wish you all the best. You're going to need it. Norman says, the cheesy What's-It has been gaslighting the world again. He's forcing Zelensky to sign up to an agreement that doesn't exist. He will single-handedly destroy global economies with his tariffs. All you need to do is imagine all of his speeches were being read in Russian. He is only the governor of Canada. We will bring the Gulf of Panama back to the motherland. Greenland should be ours, etc. Just because he speaks English, we have a distorted view that he should or is thinking in the same way. He's not, says Norman. Yeah. He's not, well, he's not thinking.
I know nothing.
In a nutshell. And Laura says, we're almost at the point where Teslas will have more rights than women. Yeah, well, I think at the moment it's illegal not to buy a Tesla. It is not yet illegal not to buy a woman. Not under Donald Trump's leadership, it isn't. You can be absolutely assured of that. Tabitha says, if we get nuked in England, it will be our fault. Stick to your own country. You're an ignorant pseudo-globalist. I'll sum up that argument for you. An ignorant pseudo-globalist. Well, what's a pseudo-globalist? I mean, I'm asking a computer screen because Tabitha's not really here at the moment. If indeed she does exist, which I kind of doubt. Because the kind of people that post that online, you'll hover, on X, formerly known as Twitter, that thing. You'll hover over their name and they'll have 3 followers and an official blue tick. Every time. They're an anonymous account with almost no followers at all, and yet they're paying for an official blue tick. And they're paying for it in the same way that Donald Trump paid for his Tesla. As in, didn't. Hugh says, now come on, Nick, you know Trump isn't the Messiah. He's a very, very naughty boy. Well, that is true. Someone should sneak up, says Will. Someone should sneak up and put a Just Stop All sticker on the back of one of those tractors. Also, if I was Chancellor, I would install HMRC on all British territories until I was unlawfully killed by my car exploding by accident. Yeah. 0345 6060 973. Oh, blimey. Have you heard the bad news? I'll come out of the news, which almost certainly won't be in the news, but it is news, and it's not good. In fact, it is bad. So I'll come out of this news break with that news that won't be in the news, even though it is news. Is that clear?
No.
0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we're doing a radio show, it reminds me that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin, though.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, and I do believe that you will find it a delight. If you just can't stand it anymore, you know, the world and all it's got, then check out with us. You can be assured that it is a non-news zone. In fact, deliberately so, because me and Carol, we don't agree on anything at all, and have our own special method of cutting any political conversation at the very moment it begins. By the method of having a safe space word that we yell out in moments of extreme agitation. And then we have to stop talking about whatever it was that made one of us yell out our safe space word and talk about something else entirely. So there will be no politics in it. It's just funny. So if that appeals to you, and there are over 300, I think there's over 320 episodes up there. I cannot believe that we've done that much. But we just churn them out, and, she makes me laugh. She is a kooky lady. And it's all of them are available on Global Player, or where you get your app, where your podcasts. And the thing to ask for is Nick Abbott, No, that's the other one. That's the podcast of the Friday and Saturday. I'm very confused. The thing to ask for is, what's your problem with Nick and Carol? That's it. What's your problem with Nick and Carol?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome. Let's have York. Hello, Jan.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Jan.
How are you tonight?
I'm great, mate.
And just before I say what I called about,
yeah.
I sent a problem in to you, and you answered it last week.
Really?
Yeah, it was the one about the missing photos on Instagram. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
I
still haven't got my head around Instagram yet. I don't really...
You sounded very confused.
Well, I am confused, yes. What's the difference between a story and a feed, and why does it randomly crop your photos? And I just don't get it.
And it's all Greek to me.
Yeah.
But you said you thought they'd been deleted, automatically, didn't you?
No, I think Carol said that.
Oh, I thought it was you.
No.
Anyway, never mind.
I don't know anything about it.
Just after I sent that email, I looked on Blue Sky, and those photos are on there.
Which photos?
4 from Q.
Oh, yes, Blue Sky. Blue Sky. Everybody should go to Blue Sky. It's where the happy people live. Don't you think?
But you didn't say you put them on there. I just found them by,
Well, I probably forgot. I just spend too much time staring at a computer screen. I'm trying to back off it and stare at a television screen more. Better. Well, anyway. It is better. It's lean back as opposed to lean forward. You spend your entire life leaning forward and you're constantly on edge. Lean back. Relax.
That's true. Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Anyway, the photos are there on Blue Sky.
Right.
Right. Now then. I've just been reading about the new road building in the Amazon rainforest. Have you read about that?
Yes.
The COP30. What's the sense in that?
Well, there isn't any. Don't look for it because it does not exist.
No. There's no sense at all, is there?
No, it's crazy.
8-mile stretch of Amazon rainforest.
Yes.
Sold. Crackers.
In order to accommodate a conference about saving the Amazon rainforest. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do they have to go somewhere where there's no road anyway?
I don't know.
Oh, God. You know.
Yeah.
What's the point of it anyway?
I know. I'm just at the end of my tether. I don't know about you, Jan.
Every blooming year they have one, don't they?
Yeah. Not much cop, they should call it.
Exactly. That's a good idea. Not much cop.
All right. I have detailed files, Jan. Leave it with me. All right.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Cheers, my dear. Ed Miliband, the UK's Energy and Net Zero Secretary, arrived in Beijing for 3 days of talks with top Chinese officials, including discussions on green technology, supply chains and the critical minerals needed for clean energy. Because the UK's green economy is growing 3 times faster than the rest of the economy. But, access to components and materials will be crucial for that to happen. Growth, baby, growth. Ed Miliband, the UK's Energy and Net Zero Secretary, is hoping to shape a new global axis in favour of climate action, along with China and a host of developing countries, to offset the impact of the screaming memes, abandonment of green policies and his sharp veer towards climate-hostile countries such as Russia and Saudi Arabia. It's almost like Donald Trump is taking orders from the King of Saudi Arabia when he's not on the phone being told what to do by Vlad the Insaner. Ed Miliband said, "We can only keep future generations safe from climate change if all major emitters act. It's simply an act of negligence to today's and future generations not to engage China on how it can play its part in taking action on climate," which might not be the best kind of language to use if you're off there on an official visit, because it kind of sounds like we smart Brits will be scolding those silly Chinese about their polluting ways and telling them how to shape up. I think you might not have used the right words there, Ed Miliband. China might be the world's biggest greenhouse gas emitter, but it's also doing more than any other country to reduce those emissions, because it's good for business. Because they're selling the rest of the world their electric vehicles and their solar panels and other low-carbon goods. I think China is in a better place to lecture us than we are to lecture them. But, maybe that's just Ed Miliband talking to us at home. Not addressing the Chinese specifically, but when politicians are abroad and they're addressing their local hosts, they aren't really. They're addressing us back home. Ed Miliband might act the vigorous superhero to come save us all in public, but in private, he talks nice and genuflects to the Chinese, because we actually do want their cars and their solar panels and all the minerals that we can use to get off oil. It's weird that it's come to us, cozying up to China and the EU in order to mitigate the threat of Cheeto Mussolini. How times change. It only took a month. I mean, in order to save the planet, we're going to have to make up the difference that Trump is causing by doing whatever the oil giants tell him to do for their own short-term gain. Like they need any more money. And to ensure that civilization continues, we're going to have to take up the slack. It's like we're going to have to pull a huge fat clown out of the sea who's drowning, but he refuses to swim.
Don't be rude.
I'm thinking of you, Donny. Many experts believe the only prospect of staving off climate change is for China, the EU and the UK and other major economies to form a pro-climate bloc alongside vulnerable developing countries to counter the weight of the United States of America and Russia and Saudi Arabia, the petrostates, for pushing a continued expansion of fossil fuels. It's dragging us all down. But the prospects of agreement on the sharp emissions cuts needed to globally limit temperature rises to 1.5 centigrade above pre-industrial levels are increasingly remote. Brazil will host this year's UN climate Not Much COP30. And it's going to be in November in the Amazon. And this is an example of how ridiculous things have got. In order to facilitate a climate change conference being held in the Amazon, a new 4-lane road cutting through tens of thousands of acres of protected Amazon forest is being built for the climate summit in the Brazilian city of Belém. It aims to ease traffic to the city, which is going to host more than 50,000 people, including world leaders, at the conference in November. some say that as the Amazon provides a vital role in absorbing the carbon that we stupid humans are throwing into the air that we breathe, it might not be on message to build a 4-lane road through that area. Aren't there other areas that are connected to roads already that don't go through rainforests? Or were all other venues booked, perhaps? Is there not a conference hall in the world that could have been used instead of cutting down millions of trees to hold a meeting which will conclude that cutting down millions of trees is a bad idea? I mean, at this point, I'm not sure the human race is worth saving. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
0345 6060 973. Let's have a call in Oldbury. Ranjit.
Hi, Nick. You're
yes,
right.
Ranjit.
Have you got a headache, mate?
No? Why is that?
I think, when you're trying to educate the world, right, it's like banging your head against the wall. So you are quite strong because you are banging your head a lot.
Fortunately, this show is not educational.
No. Right. Nick, last couple of weeks you've been compiling a list of things that you reckon that Donald Trump's going to do,
Yes, I have.
Okay. Yeah. Can we, it's been very fun. Can we have a list of the top 10?
I'm just...
And from one of your regular callers suggests one thing, and let's see how many of us are right by Christmas.
Okay, he's not leaving at the end of his current 4-year term.
Yeah,
he will appear on stage in military uniform.
Yeah, but let us suggest one each, like Mike and Jeff and all this lot. Yeah, I'm going to suggest he's going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah,
and put that on your computer. Yeah.
Yeah.
See how many of us are right. We can all have one guess each.
Ghislaine Maxwell. Mm-hmm. Or she will unfortunately be,
excommunicated.
Yes. There will be a nationally televised execution.
Yeah.
He will ban degenerate art.
Mm.
He will shut down TV channels and rain lawsuits on comedians.
Yeah. And radio presenters. And callers. Okay.
Wait a minute. Radio presenters?
What?
Yeah. All right. And this the lady that was on about the cruise control, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
On these cars, you have intelligent braking systems, yeah?
Well, no, some of them do, some of them don't. My 12 or 15-year-old car doesn't. It's just got it. We will keep you at this speed, regardless of going uphill or downhill.
That's cruise control. But
That's
when
cruise
you're closer
control,
to the car in front or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's fine. But the thing is, you know what? I don't even trust them things. If a leaf falls in front of the sensor or anything like that, or if it's snowing, the sensor might not work. So if you get lazy, right, and you suddenly go bang and you hit the car in front. Yeah. All this technology I don't trust. And don't forget, I used to be a truck driver as well. So
no, I wouldn't trust it either. And as for being able to fall asleep at the wheel and the car does the driving, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to wrest control of the car from us stupid humans, but I can't imagine it's ever going to work.
No, and the other thing is, like they used to have, you got to call it the dead person switch, right? If you didn't have your hand on a certain thing, then it would cut out.
Right.
Okay. So all these things, and the other thing, closer to home, yeah, because these predictions that we're predicting about Donny, yeah. What do you think is going to happen in the next few months with the Reform Party and Nigel Farage? Because there seems to be a lot going on, and it's being kept under the carpet at the moment.
I don't know. They seem to be airing all of their dirty laundry in public. It's awful.
Disgusting.
Can you imagine Nigel Farage's laundry aired in public?
I think they're going to implode, in the next couple of months. Because like I said last week, 20%, they've lost 20% of their MPs, haven't they? Because they only had 5 and one's gone. That's 20%.
Yeah, but that's one, though. I mean, 20% does make it sound like a significant loss, but it's just one bloke.
No, Nick, that's how the other side do it. They would, if it was Labour, they've lost 20% of their
Well,
MPs,
if Labour lost 20% of their MPs, then that would be a big story. But you're just talking about one person. I think that it doesn't suit the argument to say 20%. That's just a bit daft.
But what I'm saying is, you know how the press normally make it look big, yeah?
Right.
And now we, on the left, we're going to make it look big, and we'll do the same, right? We'll do it the same way as doing it. And I'm saying they've lost 20%. Okay, they've lost one. That's fine.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is...
you think that they're going to start imploding? I thought that they were continually imploding. I thought imploding was their default setting. like a sort of a nuclear fission reaction that just continues to go forever. I think that imploding is what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are talking and they bring Nigel Farage into the conversation, right? And it's like, you keep on loving him, don't you? And you keep on hating him, and I'm wondering what do they actually think? And I think that both of them think, oh, what an idiot, right? He sucks up to me, that's Donny.
I bet they don't think of him ever, unless he's actually in the room addressing them at the time.
Yeah, you probably are right there. But the thing is, right, Uncle Nigel, right, thinks that, I'm very pally with Donald Trump. Remember that song they made? They're making plans for Nigel?
Well, if you're pally with Donald Trump, you usually end up either warning the rest of the world to run for the hills, or you end up in jail. One of the two. I wonder which one is in Nigel's future. Got to go, Ranjit. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Nobody knows who the hell he is.
Yeah, I do recall that I was going to tell you about the bad news, but I'm running out of time in this hour, so I'll do it in the next hour. But if you can't hang around that long, then do remember that the Friday and Saturday night shows get put up the internet as a podcast. Oh, yeah. We put them up the internet as a podcast. It's exclusive to Global Player, which you can get free from the App Store or globalplayer.com. And it is called Nick Abbott The Whole Show Podcast. The Friday and Saturday night shows get stuck up the internet as a podcast. And the idea is that we take the news and most of the ads out. Mostly. Which will give you more time to contemplate this appalling story that I will promise I'll give you after the news at 12. You're not going to like it. Tavistock. Hello, Rose.
Hello, Nick.
Rose.
Hi. Well, I'm voting Green next time.
Ah, Green.
Groovy. Yes, there is a thing called the Green Party.
The Green is.
And I actually heard somebody on LBC, as a matter of fact, one of the co-leaders from the Green Party.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago, I think it was. Yes, I'm sure it was. It was Natasha's show.
Mm-hmm.
And every single thing he said, I mean, it wasn't just about the environment, obviously.
Yeah. Wow.
Ooh.
That was, I think, just straight over the edge there, Rose. Rose forgot she was on the radio. Can't say that. Builders talk.
Disgusting.
I can't believe it. Such a nice lady as well. Darren says, sorry, Rose, you had your chance and you blew it. Darren says, if Comrade Bone Spurs has banned any mention of the Enola Gay, how's he going to react when he hears about biplanes? Biplanes. I looked through a list of the words that are illegal now in America to put on government websites, and it's pretty much all of them. Pretty much all words. Now, they've got a problem with pretty much everything. And I don't believe for a second that Donald Trump actually cares about any of that stuff. It's just distraction. He's just trying to make you outraged to cover up the evil that he is doing. It is literally waving his hand. Well, it's not literally, but this is pretty much exactly what is happening. Waving his hand in front of your face to distract you while he picks your pocket. America, wake up! It is much later than you think. Phil says, apparently data shows that Tesla's main customers have been Democrats. Perhaps they should dump them at rock-bottom prices and make the share price crumble. Well, they're way ahead of you, Phil. That's exactly what they are doing. And Tesla's main customers have been Democrats. Of course they have. They've been liberal types that live in California. Phil! You know, those types. Donald Trump's fans, they're not interested in electric cars. That's woke. That is. I mean, it's a Gerald Ratner moment, isn't it, Elon Musk? He is in real time destroying his own company because of his own stupid actions. Jumping about on stage like some dad dancing on speed or whatever it is that he's... I think it's horse tranquilizers, isn't it? I've got no idea. But whatever it is, avoid it, kids. Just say no. In fact, just say no thank you. Good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite!
0345 6060 973. Birmingham. Hello, Rich.
Hey, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Nick, most of my points are going to be Donny related. But I was wondering, are you contemplating doing 3 serious shows rather than like 2 off the wall and then 1 serious on a Sunday? Because he might take it to that point.
Oh, you mean we might need 2 extra shows just to fit in all the Donny?
Or you do the Friday, Saturday and Sunday as all serious, maybe, the way he's going.
Well, I haven't contemplated doing that, but I'm sure if it gets to that point, then, when World War III breaks out, then I'm going to be playing a lot less duck noises on the radio. Yeah.
I don't think we're far off, but my actual main point, and, it's brief and I'll go after this, but did you hear James O'Brien do an impression of Donny the other day on his show?
I didn't.
It was so much worse than yours.
Which is not saying much, really. I mean, I'm not very good at that at all.
But yeah, genuinely, it was terrible. But I think it's within the last 7 days, so you could listen back.
Right.
Apparently, but yeah, and last point is every time you say China, I just imagine Donny saying China.
Yes, I know. I can't hear that word without hearing his voice either, even if I'm saying it. China.
Could you not mention it again then?
Yeah, okay, I'll try really hard. Just as long as China stays out of the news, then that is a promise I can make. Good work. Thanks a lot, Rich. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. I'm terrible at impressions, but the one thing that I do know is that you have to really let loose. You have to just give it your all. Don't hold back. You just got to commit. That's the word. Hang on. Wait a minute. Yeah, like if I'm doing Anne Widdecombe, for instance, there's no holding back. If you hold back, you're not going to get it. Like that. You must commit. Wow, it was almost like she was in the room for a second there, wasn't it? And wouldn't that be a surprise? The door opens and Anne Widdecombe stalks in. Grief. Phil says, no, read that. Stan says, play the no sound, Nick, in response to my message. And then he... and then the message follows that instruction. This is not a request show, Stan. I don't take requests, so... No, I will not do anything of the sort. And Damiano says, I was scrolling the internet the other day and I thought, did I just see Donald Trump in military fatigues? Turns out it was just the flag of Bangladesh. And during the break, I looked up the flag of Bangladesh because, and I know that this is going to sound surprising, I was not familiar with it. Turns out it's a garish red dot on a green background, which does actually sound almost precisely like Donald Trump in camouflage.
Oh, shut up!
Just saying. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. Very bad news on the way. After the news, it won't be in the news, but bad news follows the news.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
You just don't. That is good advice. Thanks a lot, Donny. Jojo says the best ever penguin was Danny DeVito, which I am afraid, Jojo, is the wrong answer. Incorrect. I think the best ever penguin was, now, I can't remember what his name is, but he was the guy off the TV show. What was the name of the chap who did the penguin on the TV programme? Because he was funny. Like that. He went. Phil says, no, read that one. And the one from Stan. And the one from Damiano. Wow, I really am ahead of schedule. Zach said, democracy in Germany fell apart 53 days after Hitler was elected. Trump has been in office for 50 days.
Oh, no.
Only 3 days of freedom left. Make the most of it. By Monday, it'll be all over. Ollie says, have you seen Meghan Markle's new cookery show? It's pretty good. It's pretty good?
What?
That's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that. No, I have not seen Meghan Markle's new cookery show. But I have seen the reaction in the mail online about Meghan Markle's cookery show, and I'll sum that up for you. They're absolutely appalled. They're appalled on a galactic level. They have sent feelers out to other planets to find other beings that are furious with Meghan Markle's new cookery show because they've used up all of the people on Earth who are angry about them. What is it about that woman that makes them so furious? I mean, I think I said this last week. If the right-wing press in this country was a person, they'd be in jail for stalking. Talk about an obsession. It's ridiculous. I bet if I looked up the right-wing newspaper of record right now, that there'd be dozens of stories about Meghan Markle. I mean, I probably shouldn't be doing this on the air, but here we go. The truth about Meghan's recommissioned second Netflix series, and they're absolutely furious that she's getting another series because they tried to bury that. They made a massive effort to try to bury that show, and they've given her a second series. Prue Leith hits out at Meghan Markle. Bake Off star reveals why she won't watch Duchess's new show. Meghan announces another podcast. Duchess launches new series after Archetypes was axed by, and then you have to pay to get more of it. Duke and Duchess of Westminster reveal they are expecting their first baby in the summer. I don't see what that's got to do with Meghan Markle. A non-Meghan Markle story slipped in. Can you believe that? Royal chef slams Meghan Markle's pretentious Netflix series. And it just goes on. And a master pasta maker gives surprise verdict on Meghan Markle's controversial one-pot spaghetti dish. And by controversial, do they mean he liked it? Well, I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? Divided fans with a controversial recipe for a one-pot spaghetti, which features in episode 1 of a Netflix series. TikTok sensation and American pasta maker Danny Freeman has weighed in on the controversy. He said, do you care?
No.
No, me neither. I got all involved for a minute there. I got sucked in. Thanks a lot, Ollie. You started that. Have you seen Meghan Markle's new cookery show? Joe emails, if Just Stop Oil sprayed Donald Trump with orange paint, would he look any different? And Shafiq says, as a frequent visitor to Belém, I've seen this road being constructed and it's not in the rainforest. The city sits on the edge of the Amazon and not in the rainforest. Plus, it's an existing road, an existing airport that are being expanded. Well, I mean, you are an expert, no doubt, but according to the reports that I read, they're constructing a brand new 4-lane highway through the Amazon. So there's that. I haven't forgotten. Bad news coming. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Hello, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Jan.
Yes, so how are you?
Great, mate.
Good. So I'm ringing about this book that Trump wrote that underpins his. They say his diplomacy is transactional.
Yeah.
So he apparently he was famous for writing a book.
He didn't, though. He didn't write that book. The Art of the Deal.
Yeah, it disputed. He co-written.
No,
but he claims he wrote it. And he's so narcissistic, Nick.
Yes.
That it's his book. Well, he says it's his favourite book after the Bible. The book that made him.
Yeah, because he's read the Bible a lot. Yeah.
And he issued. Do you remember he issued that Bible that said God intervened? God saved him or something.
Yeah.
But he had thousands of copies of that printed in China, apparently. Anyway, but
where he gets all of his other tat that he sells on his website.
Yeah. So they say they describe his diplomacy or his style of government as transactional.
I wish people would stop using that word because it sounds it sounds decent. It sounds as though some thought has gone into it. It's transactional. Oh yes, he wants good things for America. No, it's just he wants money and flattery. That's the transaction that's involved.
Because that's what it's underpinned by. That book of his. He actually it gave him celebrity status. It was a #1 bestseller back in the 80s. So it was.
He didn't get celebrity status for writing the book. He was a celebrity and he wrote a book.
All right. So it's to do his cult status involves worship of money, doesn't it?
And it didn't. And he didn't even write the book. But apart from that. He worships money and he worships gold and he worships himself most of all.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Yeah, very nice.
Don't you think? I mean, his cult status involves the worship of money as well, as the Bible Belt people, out there. I mean, somehow it's interlinked together with him. Apparently,
the phony religionists who claim they're doing the work of God. They claim they're following God, but what they really want is for God to follow them. They just want validation for all of the evil things they do, and they reckon that if they wear a cross around their neck or they draw one on their forehead, that God will somehow ignore all of the evil things that they've done and welcome them into heaven for the rest of their lives. I mean,
with a lot of money,
they must think God's a chump.
But with a lot of money, because apparently in the book it's got 11-step formula for business success, and that it's all to do with worshipping money as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that all his thing is that you either win or lose with him, because he will punish someone who doesn't want who won't accept.
They call it a zero-sum game, by which they mean he wins and everybody else loses. That's what's in that book. He says the only good deal is when I win and everybody else loses. And the everybody else includes us.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you and me.
It's crazy, though, isn't it? In a sense that he will blackmail everyone with tariffs if they don't agree to his negotiations. But he can't. Look, he wants to take over Greenland. He wants Canada. He wants all of this and that. It's like a form of madness, isn't it?
It's not a form of madness. It is completely insane. Unless the plan is to just drive the price of assets down, and somebody with money could then be able to swoop in and pick them up on the cheap. I mean, if that's the plan, it's going really well.
And he's so against climate change. Him and his cohorts or whatever who were into oil. See, that's why he's after all these countries. He wants to be have good terms with all these countries. Russia is rich, is one of the richest countries in oil, crude oil, and that's liquid gold, isn't it? And gas.
Yeah.
And as well as Russia and then Saudi Arabia. He wants to, he's being pally with Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
It's like his eyes must be lit up with dollar
signs. Yeah, that's right. Dollar signs in his eyes. Yes. If you rub shoulders with some of the world's worst people, then you can be rich too.
Yeah, and then, but going back in time though, he was a commentator had him as a poster child for greed is good.
Yes.
He stood for greed is good.
Yeah, well, remember what happened to the guy who said greed is good?
What happened?
I think he went to jail at the end of that film. Oh, spoiler alert.
Warning.
Yeah, I think he went to jail, yeah.
Okay, and then what is it? Oh, and he coined the phrase truthful hyperbole was coined in relation to his work. Trump's work, his book and everything, is an innocent, mind you, form of exaggeration. I mean, it's just, we're all in post-truth era, aren't we, with Trump?
Yes, it's his world, and we're just going to have to muddle our way through it, until we can get rid of him one way or the other. Like, he wants to take over Greenland one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's dizzying just to think of how.
What's dizzying is that it's one person. Only one person is doing all this. One person is putting people out of business. Companies that were built up over generations, and because he woke up grumpy one morning because somebody didn't compliment his hair enough, then he's going to put that company out of business, along with companies that are alongside them in whatever country he's pouring his ire onto next. This week it's French wine growers. The next week it'll be Spanish distillers, and then the next week it'll be Chinese steel manufacturers. And there's no rhyme or reason to it, other than if you break a lot of stuff, you'll be able to buy them on the cheap.
But he's not invincible, Nick. He's not invincible, is he?
I'm not sure that's true. I mean, he has a diet that is exclusively given to him in buckets.
McDonald's?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, I thought he liked McDonald's.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people like McDonald's, but not to the exclusion of everything else.
Oh.
Buckets, he likes his food delivered to him in. And appears to do no exercise of any kind whatsoever. And he's about 178 years old, and he must have made a deal with the devil to be that. I don't want to say vibrant because that sounds positive, but that vigorous. Somebody that age should not be that vigorous on the kind of diet and exercise regimen that he's on. They should. I mean, they should have been. Interred a long time ago, but he just keeps going like a Duracell bunny. God, what a thought. Thanks a lot, Jan. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Oh, blimey, I've forgotten to do it again. I'll take a break, and then I promise, I'll give you the very, very bad news in just a moment.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Yes. Right. Are you ready? You're not going to like it. A new coronavirus feared to be able to spread to humans has been discovered by a China-linked scientist.
What?
Researchers from Brazil and colleagues affiliated with the University of Hong Kong detected the new strain after swabbing the mouths and rectums of bats.
Disgusting.
Oh. I hope they used separate swabs for the mouths and the rectums. I mean, bats are people too, Good manners don't cost nothing, do they?
Be polite!
The novel strain is closely related to MERS, a disease that kills about 35% of the people it infects. Quick, buy some bleach before Trump's fans drink it all. The makeup of the virus's spike protein, which it uses to trigger an infection, means it can probably infect human cells the researchers have warned. They said, the virus is now being transported to China, along with 6 other viruses discovered during the expedition. And I'm sure the Chinese will treat it with all the care and attention for which they are famous. Revealing the discovery in Brazil, lead researcher Dr. Brunner out of the University of Sao Paulo said, right now we aren't sure it can infect humans, but we detected parts of the virus spike protein, which binds to mammalian cells, suggesting potential interaction with the receptor used by this thing which they're calling MERS-CoV. MERS-CoV. And the best advice they can give you is don't put your tongue in a bat's mouth. And definitely do not put your tongue in any part of... Never mind. The new coronaviruses were discovered by swabbing the noses and rectums of 15 different bat species, all of whom became angry. But then you'd be angry too if somebody in a white coat yanked you out of a tree to stick a swab up your body. MERS is a contagious respiratory illness spread from animals to humans and from human to human. Causes fever, cough, shortness of breath, diarrhea, vomiting and death. Pretty much like any medicine that you get over the counter at the chemist's. I bet aspirin has got the same warnings on the instructions they put in every packet of medicine. You know that bit of paper that comes in the packet of medicine? The thing you never read? That. I bet it says, could cause fever, cough, shortness of breath, diarrhea, vomiting and death on aspirin. I bet it does. Nobody is ever going to find that out, though, because nobody ever reads the inserts in medicine. Still, I'm sure that with Donald Trump in the White House leading the world's response, that we are in safe hands.
I'm not a doctor.
What do you know about it, Mr. President?
I know nothing.
He knows nothing. We're doomed. The viruses were found in the velvety, free-tailed bat. That is the name of a bat I am not making up. Velvety, free-tailed bat. Doesn't that sound lovely?
No.
Also, the great fruit-eating bat, both of which live across Mexico. Cancel that margarita.
Booze.
And it comes 3 weeks after scientists in China revealed that they discovered yet another coronavirus that could spread to humans. And in scenes eerily reminiscent of the beginning of the COVID pandemic, researchers at the infamous Wuhan Institute of Virology detected the new strain living within bats. HKU5 COVID-2 is strikingly familiar to the pandemic virus, sparking fears that history could repeat itself just 2 years after the worst was declared over. Well, the worst bits of history do appear to be repeating themselves.
Oh, shut up!
I told you wouldn't like it. Lindsay says, don't put yourself down, Nick. We love your Donny impression, and your Anne Widdecombe is superb. Speaking of which, Ricky says, I just did your Anne Widdecombe impression right after you did it. I've got headphones on, and I'm sitting in the staff room. There's 6 other people in here thinking I'm very strange now. Yeah, don't do that again, Ricky. 0345 6060 973. Bodmin, hello, Malcolm.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Malcolm.
Hey, some good news this week, mate, for you and me and the nation.
Go ahead.
Something we've been agreed on for a long time. And it's Keir Starmer abolishing NHS England.
Have we been agreed on that for a long time?
Yeah. Because it was when NHS England was created that the NHS began its downward spiral.
Yes, are the two necessarily connected, though?
Yes,
right.
100%. Because it was Andrew Lansley's reformation of the NHS in 2011-12, whenever it was, because he needed a year or so to put his feet under the table.
Yeah.
And then he instigated his changes in the NHS. But those changes gave Osborne powers at the same time, didn't they? Because all of a sudden, he controlled things at an arm's length sort of thing. It was all sleight of hand.
Well, he had an institution that could deflect any criticism. He could say, politicians in general could say, it's got nothing to do with me, it's NHS England.
Right. Yeah. Because it's, no, he could say, it's nothing to do with me because it's arm's length. But the problem was, it really wasn't, was it, at the end of the day? But what we've gone back to, I'm hoping, is what you've been describing and what I've been advocating for some years. Well, for at least a year then, to put it that way.
Which is what?
Reasonable here. That in 2009... No.
When?
Yeah. In 2009...
Yes.
You've been saying 90-odd% of people were very satisfied with the NHS. I looked it up recently, actually, and the figures are from an actual survey which is done every year.
Record satisfaction. Record levels of satisfaction, am I right?
Well, it was 74% or 73%, right? Which is still very, very high.
Yes.
Whereas in 2023 or 2022, it was 23% of the British people were happy with the NHS.
Yeah.
So that's what Andrew Lansing did. That's what NHS England did. But that's not, and I emphasise this, that's not to denigrate the hard-working people in the NHS who are on...
Yeah, you don't have to emphasise that, Malcolm. We all agree on that. It's not their fault.
Yeah. The people on the shop floor. But the whole thing was Lansley and Cameron and Osborne.
Oh,
they were
Cameron and Osborne. Can't let that go by without a boo.
Well, they were responsible for the management of NHS England.
Did you just say H?
No, I said NH, didn't I?
No, I don't think so.
You played the tape back and you'll hear me saying NH. But I normally say NH. Anyway, you're right. I don't do your... But let's not go there, please.
Right.
So anyway, so the point I'm making is Keir Starmer abolished NHS England, which it may go one of two ways.
Well, I think it's going to be a positive thing because it's going to be their major vote winner come the next election. Have we improved the NHS for you? And they appear to. But I'm only going by their own figures. They appear to be improving it already by giving us 250,000 extra appointments. Now, what that actually amounts to, I don't really know. I'm only taking their word for it, but it can't get worse. So you would think that by addressing inefficiencies and so on, that they would be able to fashion an improvement of some sort. So let's give it a go.
Well, this is why I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I'm hoping that it will do away with this thing of you go to your doctor and then your doctor then steers you towards a brick wall, which is, yes, your consultant will see you in 18 months' time or 12 months' time. Or it is. Well, Sting has already made noises saying that he's going to cut out the middleman and you can go to a consultant without seeing your GP
No,
first.
I would suggest that down that road leads potential problems because people will go... They will want to see a consultant immediately if they can't find their television remote control.
Yeah, no, but look, I don't want to get caught up in the weeds. My reason for phoning you was just to rejoice with you because I think you and I are on the same page with the NHS, and that is that the nurses and the doctors should be far, far more in control of what they actually do and when they do it. There shouldn't be a whole raft of various level management between the patient and those fantastic people, the nurses and the doctors in hospitals. That's the key issue.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, any large organisation needs management. You can't just allow the people to do what they think is best at any given moment. But yes, with a bit of direction and a little more hands-off than it has been, and with the best of intentions, and with the wind behind them, maybe they will fashion something that sort of resembles what the institution used to be like before the Tories got their hands on it. Good work, Malcolm. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. This message says, Pingu is the best penguin. Who's Pingu? Don't tell me. No, the best penguin was that guy from the TV programme whose name I can't remember. I should have looked that up, shouldn't I? Tony says, Nick, I've just downloaded the film Idiocracy, as you have been banging on about this for months. I'll watch it after your show ends, says Tony. Yes, Tony, be assured that it is better when you are refreshed.
Booze.
So keep that in mind. It's not a heavy intellectual film. It is something that would go better with beer, is my recommendation. But it is a documentary about the present. It used to be a comedy about the future. It's a documentary about the present. And with each passing day, it gets truer and truer. I mean, the moment when Donald Trump's Safe Space rally, when Hulk Hogan came on stage and ripped his T-shirt open, I mean, that was the point at which I thought, hang on a minute, are they actually recreating Idiocracy? Is that the script they're going to? Or is that just a coincidence? It's a little bit too coincidental now. It's almost like a how-to run a country, Idiocracy, as opposed to just a piece of light entertainment. But, watch Idiocracy and then watch Don't Look Up and then repair to your bunker. Oh, you mean you haven't built the bunker yet? 0345 6060 973. 12:30 on LBC, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
And remember, darling, I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon.
Those are my strict rules. South in East Kilbride. Is that a person called South? Or that's where they live? In the south, in East Kilbride. Which is very specific. Anyway, it says, Nick, you're an influencer. I've bought a dehumidifier and it's great. Oh, I've influenced him to buy a dehumidifier. Dehumidifiers are great. If you've got a bit of mould or your place is a little bit damp, invest in a dehumidifier. Worked for me. It's an excellent product. This text says, I read on X today that Meghan cooks puppies on her new show. I'm surprised that it's only on X and it's not on the front page of tomorrow's Mail. Pete says, Nick, if I could afford the wood, I'd have Trump's mouth boarded up. Yeah, well, there's tariffs on lumber now, so you can't. Let's have Beaconsfield. Hello, Shirley.
Hi, Nick.
Shirley.
Right, okay. I was going to phone up about one thing, but I got the giggles about the VATs and the rectum. So if it did happen, I hope that Mr. Trump will be first in line to have his rectum sorted out.
Oh, Shirley.
I know.
Can you believe that they found it by swabbing a bat's mouth and its, area?
Right, so that's number one. Number two, a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Trump was talking about Fort Knox, and he was saying that it's empty. I just thought that would be the first place that he would have gone to.
Yeah, well, it's probably empty. I wonder if anybody searched his pockets as he was leaving, because they certainly should have done that.
Because on the Blaze programme, they're telling us, us human beings, that in Fort Knox we've got the skeleton of Roswell.
Oh, that's where they're keeping it, is it? Right.
Yeah, so when he opens the door, there won't be a pile of gold, there'll be...
Just some alien skeletons.
I've got to go. I've got to go because I've got the giggles. Bye.
Okay. Ta-ta. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. Just couldn't stand it anymore and she had to leave. When you got to go, you've got to go.
Bye-bye.
Chris says, Donald does like a Diet Cola with all that fast food, though. Bucket of chicken, some burgers, fries, and a Diet Cola. Makes me laugh, says Chris. Yeah, that's right. But you're looking svelte on it, though, Donny. Very, very svelte. If that's any help. Amanda says, ironic that you're sneering at the Mail Online for obsessing over Meghan Markle and giving her as much negative coverage as possible while you're doing exactly the same with Donald Trump, says Amanda. Yeah, well, the two are the same, Meghan Markle and Donald Trump. One does a cute cookery show on cable news on a cable TV channel, and the other is ruining people's lives. A sadistic, amoral megalomaniac intent on smashing everything to bits so he and his mates can make more money. But, apart from that, they're exactly the same, Amanda. Well spotted. 0345 6060 973. Islington. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Nick.
Sean.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
It was about the actor who played the Penguin.
Oh, yes.
Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith is the correct answer. Yes. He was the best Penguin, definitely.
Yeah, it was played for laughs.
For laughs, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing funny about the Penguin with Colin Farrell. Did you see that? With all
I didn't.
All that makeup. It's pretty dark and kind of nasty, really. I won't tell you what happened in case you get around to watching it at some point, but it's
Spoiler alert,
not a happy story, no.
Yeah.
Whereas Burgess
I think,
Meredith was just a laugh, yeah.
Yeah, but it was a bit sinister as well.
Who, Burgess Meredith?
Slightly.
I wonder if
Didn't he
that's...
have the umbrella with the smoke, that come out?
Yeah, that wasn't sinister, that was just funny. Purple smoke.
Yeah. I suppose you're right.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Sean. 0345 6060 973. Burgess Meredith, yeah, that's right. I wonder if that programme is still on. I mean, it should be on somewhere, shouldn't it? There's so many programmes that I think should be on. Like, do you remember a programme called Dream On? Where a guy used to sort of fall asleep at work and have kind of Walter Mitty-like fantasies. That was great. There was a programme called... no idea. But it's got the woman who is married to Ellen DeGeneres, Portia somebody, who was an uptight, almost like a robot, who worked at a company, and we never really found out what the company did, but it seemed to be quite evil, and she was forever keeping scientists in line. I can't remember what the program was, but it was hilarious. And that's not on either. There's just so many things that should be on that aren't on. It's as though comedy channels don't have any room to put any programs that aren't Friends, which seems to be on 24 hours a day on 2 different channels. I mean, everybody needs good neighbours and all, but how many episodes of Friends do you actually need in your life? Richard in Seaford says, Trump's psychosis means that he has to be on the side of Russia in case Ukraine doesn't win, as then he would look like a loser. So it's not about doing the right thing, it's about not being seen to be a loser, which is transactional rather than ethical. What a loony, says Richard in Seaford. Yeah, I don't think it's really that at all. For the longest time, even before this current Ukraine crisis, Donald Trump seems to have been weirdly an adherent of Vladimir Putin. It seems strange. Many people have looked into this and have tried to figure out what precisely it is that Vladimir Putin has on Donald Trump, and we don't know. And he's at great pains to prevent us from knowing it. Just saying it out loud has probably put me on some sort of list. But it does seem strange, very, very odd, that America now appears to have, halfway through a war, well, who knows if it's halfway, but in mid-war, they seem to have changed sides. As though the football team that you're playing against is now attacking their own goal. Very odd. I ain't never seen nothing like it, have you? The stuff that's happening since... the Tangerine Scream retook the White House by whatever method. Chris in Lee Green says, Nick, for a hot second I thought you were saying swapping. No. He says, for a hot second, I thought you said swapping the noses and rectums of bats. I honestly nearly went for a lie down. Can you imagine? Still, not good news either way you look at it. Oh dear, says Chris in Lee Green. No. Not swapping them. Swabbing them. Although that would be an interesting experiment, wouldn't it? Swapping the noses and the rectums of bats. Somebody should look into that very strongly.
In the echoes of thunder's might, illusions dance in electric light, a symphony of chaos spun in realms where realities run. Thunder crashes, worlds collide, in circuits where illusions abide. Visions flicker, virtual and tempest of senses they conceal. Thunderous illusions will endless storm. In the labyrinth where dreams transform, a symphony of electric dreams in the pulse of digital streams.
Bedford. Hello, Dan.
Hello, how are you? Good evening, Nick.
Yes.
First time caller. Loving the show.
Good man.
Brilliant.
Welcome along.
Sounds like you like Trump, that man.
Yeah, not really. Well, he's good for news, I suppose.
Yeah, he is. Anyway, the young lady earlier was about the cruise control, and you were saying about the people who keep braking in front of you.
Yeah.
It's called, I've got it on my lorry, I absolutely hate it. It's called adaptive cruise control.
That's right, adaptive cruise control. That's
big word.
That's the smart cruise control. I have the stupid cruise control on my car, which just keeps you to a speed.
Yeah, well, what it is, I've got it on my lorry. So if I'm sitting behind a lorry that's doing 53, I'm oblivious, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I have to overtake him.
Right.
And if they slow down, you slow down. It keeps. I think it's 300 yards gap between each vehicle. So if they slow down in front of me, my lorry will automatically slow down to whatever speed they're doing in front of them. So now if I'm on the motorway, the amount of times I'm sitting plodding along thinking I'm doing 56, and I've looked down and I'm going, oh, I'm doing 52. So it's good for some things, but it's just annoying when you want to get somewhere. Well, I can't get anywhere. I do 56 mile an hour, but
yeah,
when you're doing 56 and you think 56 is a nice little speed, you can prod along, but the lorry in front wants to do like 53, and you don't realise what you literally like, oh, I've got overtaken, and it decides it doesn't want to go back up to 56. You have to stay at 53. It's the worst. Sorry, that's my seatbelt.
Yeah, but that's a terrible seatbelt. You want to get that oiled or something.
You know what? Can I name the company what lorry they are?
No.
Okay. 3 words, 3 letters. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I hear they have very...
Every model of their vehicles go like that. Their seat. I'm actually sat down when the lorry parked up.
Right.
I get that all night.
Oh, that is a nightmare.
Yeah, we can't spray WD-40 on it because it would damage it. So
You're stuck with it?
Stuck with it, yeah. So I'll just have to put the radio on loud and just pretend I can't hear it.
Do you feel, really, that if you're behind a lorry that's doing 53 and you want to go 56, that you would actually make up any time at all if you overtook that lorry in front of you?
You know what it does? It makes a lot of difference. A lot of people, it does make a lot of difference. You sit at 50, prodding along at 56.
Yeah.
I've funny enough, I've gone up to Manchester, and a van that's doing, obviously, speed limit, 70 mile an hour. I've got there about 10 minutes after they've got there. Work that out.
Right. No, I can't work that out.
No, they're doing 70 mile an hour, so they literally should get there quicker than me.
Yes.
But because I'm doing a constant speed at 56, I'm not slowing down. Like, if he's doing 70, he's going to be up there slowing down to 60, back to forwards, back in the air.
Yeah.
For me, probably along to 60 56 is...
I'm over driving fast on motorways. I mean, I don't do motorways very often, but when I do, I'm in the slow lane. I know it's not called the slow lane, but that's what I call it. It's called the slow lane where I live. And I will, I'll put the radio on, have some nice tunes like that, and I'll look down at the speedo, and I'll be doing 40. I'm thinking,
No,
hang on,
no,
that's
no.
way too slow.
Very so. Do you know what? If you sit about 57, that's perfect because us lorries can just sit behind you, and we won't get. Us lorry drivers won't get annoyed if someone. Nothing's worse when you get a car sitting on the motorway doing 40, 50 mile an hour, and it might take us a mile up the road to try and overtake him. We just get past you when you look in the mirror, and they decide to put their foot down.
Yeah, speed up. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Why do car drivers do that? Please stop doing it. Let us overtake you, get back into lane, then overtake us, please. I'd love to do a TV show where everybody switches their TV on and that program is on so everybody can understand what pain us lorry drivers go through sometimes.
Yeah, it's because I'm not really paying attention because I'm just, cruising along, having a nice time and de-stressing, whereas the opposite happens if you're doing 70 mile an hour. You are stressed because the speed at which you're going is, there's no getting around it. It is quite fast. And so things come at you quickly. And so there is an element of stress involved with going at that speed. But if you're just tootling along at, let's say, 50, then there's no stress involved at all. And it's quite a relaxing time. And I just do not believe that you get to where you're going any faster.
You don't. You prod along at 50. So I said I prod along at 56 and I get to my destination probably, I said, 10, 15 minutes behind a car.
Right.
They're shooting up the motorway doing 60, then they have to slow down and they're just...
And where's your destination?
I am going to Dunstable. I've finished my night shift. I've had a very good week and I got to apologise to Euston Station because I hit a bollard there yesterday. My vehicle. I damaged my lorry. Yes, I wasn't very happy about it.
Was that tiredness related?
No, it was because I was
you just don't like bollards.
No, it's taxi drivers. He was parking in a loading bay, and I thought I'll wait for him to move. He moved, and I thought, right, I've got my opportunity. I moved forward, and I forgot the bollard was on the left.
Do you feel that driving at night is safe?
I'll be honest with you, I love driving at night.
But do you not ever get to the point where you're feeling a bit tired and you just can't keep your eyes open and you realise, hang on a minute, I've just driven quite a distance there with my eyes closed?
No, I'll be honest with you, when I drive, well, you've got to try and get me up in the morning. I cannot get up in the morning, I'll be honest with you. My wife is shouting, screaming at me, get up, and I said, she just looks at me, she goes, go back on your night. I love working nights. I get a better sleep, I get up, I can have a few hours to mess around, go into work and I'm fresh and I love it. I'm wide awake all night. I'm a bit of a vampire, really.
Right.
I don't go around biting people at night, but yeah, I prefer my night shift. I mean, I actually start about 4 p.m, so by the time I'm literally finished at about 1 o'clock now, so which is perfect for me. I'll go home and...
well, see, now, to me, that's not nights. Nights is overnight. Nights would be starting now, but not finishing now.
No, I've been there, did that. I didn't like it, because I like to be... How can I say? I used to start about 11 o'clock at night, and that just messed up my... I'd get home at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'll be just on the way home in the car thinking, where am I?
Right. See, that's what I was talking about, meaning a night shift. But you're on a late shift.
Yeah, late.
Like me.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I do finish some mornings at 4 o'clock, at 5 o'clock in the morning, but it depends on, how I... if I work hard enough, get the job done, I'll get home and I'm happy.
Okay, well, if I ever run into you on the road, Dan, then I apologise.
I'll just drive. Do you remember me? Keep up the good work, Lick. Lovely show.
All right, thanks a lot. Ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbot. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
We are running late. This text says, regarding COVID, it is good news for those PPE companies that are already registered via the VIP lane. Yacht manufacturers are ramping up in readiness of a sales boost. Yeah, I bet they blooming well are. Because if there's one lesson that we've learned from history is that nobody ever learns anything from history. So if we have to go through all of that again, can you imagine? Too blooming soon to have to go through all that again. Keeping our groceries outside after they'd been delivered by the supermarket, and thanking our lucky stars that we actually got a delivery date from the supermarket, because they were pretty hard to come by, eh? And we'll leave all our stuff outside for 3 days so the lurgy dissipates. Walking out with masks on and following the arrows on the floor of a supermarket, and have people coming up saying, "No, you can't go that way. You got to go the other way." And you can't sit on a. I mean, it all seems like a bit of a joke, really. Like we watched it on TV, like it was part of a comedy sketch. No, it was real life, and it might be happening again.
Oh no.
Yeah, but at least the yacht manufacturers, they're going to be having a great time. This text says, what do you think about Drew Barrymore's show where she sits close to guests? If not, please look it up and tell us what you think about it. I haven't seen it, and I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. But wasn't it Meghan related? Didn't it have something to do with Meghan Markle? Was Drew Barrymore getting huggy with Meghan? Can you imagine anything more offensive to the right-wing press than Meghan Markle's new show being called Huggy with Meghan? I mean, they'd just blow their lids, wouldn't they? This says, Trump's statement today about how he's urged Putin not to massacre the thousands of Ukrainian troops he said are encircled by Russian forces misses a vital point. They're at risk of annihilation because he stopped the US intelligence, which meant their missiles and weapons were redundant. Yeah, I think... I don't really know why anybody's paying attention to Donald Trump on this issue, or any other issue, really, but particularly this one. I mean, what's it got to do with him? That's the leader of the free world. This may be the same text, I don't know, but it says, that's the leader of the free world, but at least his psycho friend is happy that his dirt on the Donald is paying dividends. Well, he's got something on him. I mean, the Kremlin kept Donald Trump's special envoy waiting for 8 hours before meeting him. They call it a classic Putin power play. He did not respect his... He doesn't respect you, Donny, like you respect him.
Oh, shut up!
This is Trump's chief negotiator, Steve Witkoff. Spent 2/3 of the 12 hours in Moscow waiting to see Vladimir Putin before he could deliver the US president's proposal for a 30-day ceasefire. Pictures showed his motorcade arriving at Moscow's airport around midday on Thursday, and then he was kept hanging around in his car for 8 hours. Wow. Such a move is considered highly disrespectful in international diplomacy, says this story. Wow, such a move would be highly disrespectful in any circumstances. I mean, what kind of performing clown would do that, unless it was to remind his opposite number in America who's boss? 8 hours! Sky News reported that Steve Witkoff, Donald Trump's chief negotiator, his meeting was delayed while Vladimir Putin was meeting Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, who arrived on Thursday for what's described as a hastily arranged state visit. Hey, America, you're less important to Vladimir Putin than Belarus, wherever that is. And Trump's chief negotiator, Steve Witkoff, was finally seen by the Russian leader behind closed doors after nightfall. About midnight. He then departed 4 hours later at 2 a.m. I think he's putting you in the corner, Donny. He doesn't think you're strong. And he doesn't think you're great. He doesn't think you're tough. All of the things that you praise Putin for are the things he doesn't think about you, Donny.
Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
And commenting on the visit, Moscow correspondent Ivor Bennett said that the decision to keep Donald Trump's chief negotiator, Steve Witkoff, waiting was a clear signal from the Kremlin about who sets the schedule. He must have detailed files on Donald Trump. I mean, at least this time around, he didn't put naked pictures of your wife on the TV news in Russia, Donny, just like he did after the last election. Vlad has naked pictures of you, Melania.
I don't care.
I bet she does. I bet she does. And on the subject of the ceasefire deal, by the way, Rootin' Tootin' has insisted on several conditions before signing any truce deal, including elections in Ukraine and the easing of Western sanctions on Russia. In other words, can I have all of the money I stole back? Well, it doesn't really matter, though, because, I mean, what difference does it make? Vladimir Putin's signature on a deal is as worthless as Donald Trump's signature on a deal. I mean, Putin already signed a deal to leave Ukraine alone if they gave up their nuclear weapons. And Donald Trump abandons every deal he ever made, usually saying that this is the worst deal ever and who would sign such a deal, forgetting that it was him. So Ukraine can't rely on America and it can't rely on Russia, and the only other nation to sign that nuclear deal was us. So we're going to have to step up again. Oh, it's fair stirring stuff, ain't it? 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 Ain't it?